Evening and namaste. Before following any advice or practices suggested in this video, it is always recommended that you consult with your doctor as to its suitability, especially if you suffer from any health problems or special conditions. Yamajit, John Hollinsby Mayer, and Tridevi Chamunda Mandir cannot accept any responsibility for any injuries or damages incurred as a result of the exercises and meditations contained in this video. Namaste, and welcome to Tridevi Chamunda Mandir in Denver, Colorado. I'm Yamajit, and I'm so glad that you can join me this evening, either live, watching the broadcast live, or watching the recording later. And tonight, actually, I'm going to adjust some lighting here. See if that's a bit better. Yeah. Tonight, we're going to be practicing the teachings of this gentleman, Swami Ganeshananda, also known as Ganesh Baba, and the Kriya Yoga style that he was teaching young Westerners in the 60s, 70s, and the 1980s. Before we begin, though, I'd like to make some announcements. A lot of you have already received our monthly calendar via email, and if you would like to get this calendar, please email me at my channel with your email address, and I'll make sure you are on our list for this. But we have some really interesting things coming up this month due to the fall Navaratri season, also known as Dashain in Nepal. This is the 9 nights of the Divine Mother. So our Tuesday satsangs are going to be a little bit different. We're actually just going to be having 2 of them. October 19th and October 26th, and we'll be continuing with our series on the forms of Kali in Kathmandu, both puja and a satsang to those forms of the Divine Mother. And then beginning this coming Tuesday, the 5th, that will be the first of our Navaratri pujas and broadcasts. I'm going to just read the introduction to this. Navaratri, the 9 Nights of Mother Divine, 2021. Navaratri, known as Dashain in Nepal, is the most observed festival in honor of the Divine Feminine. The festival is celebrated in the bright half of the Hindu calendar month, Ashvin, which typically falls in the Gregorian months of September or October. Navaratri celebrations include worshiping 9 goddesses in 9 days, stage decorations, recital of the legends, enacting of the story, chanting of the scriptures of Hinduism. During this time, we meditate on the Divine Mother and ask for her assistance in defeating her inner demons. So we're going to begin our celebration this coming Tuesday, the 5th. And for each of our celebrations, we're going to be doing a puja to one of the Dasha Mahavidya, the 10 great wisdom goddesses. And then I'll also be sharing 1 or 2 chapters from the Tandava Tantra during the meditation phase of our puja. And the Tandava Tantra is one of the primary scriptural sources for the 10 Mahavidyas. But beginning on the 5th at 7 p.m., we'll be doing a puja to Maha Kali in the first chapter of the Tandava Tantra. Then Wednesday the 6th at 6 p.m., and do pay attention to the times. I'll be doing a puja to Maha Tara and chapter 2 of the Tantra. Thursday the 7th, 6 p.m., Puja to Ma Sudashi, third chapter of the Tantra. Friday the 8th, also at 6 p.m., Puja to Ma Bhuvaneshwari, fourth chapter of the Tantra. That weekend, Saturday and the Sunday, the 9th and the 10th, our Navaratri pujas are going to be at noon. So on the 9th, Ma Bhairavi, and on the 10th, Ma Chinnamasta, and chapters 5 and 6 of the Tantra, respectively. On Monday, the 11th, 6 p.m., it's very traditional to celebrate two of the Maha Vidyas on the same night, and that's going to be Ma Dhumavati and Ma Baglamukhi. And we'll be doing two chapters of the Tudala Tantra, chapters 7 and 8. Tuesday, the 12th, we'll go back to 6 p.m. On the 11th, it'll be 6 p.m. as well. But on the 12th, it'll be a puja to Ma Matangi, 9th chapter of the Tantra. And then on the 13th, the Wednesday, 6 p.m. again, the puja to Ma Kamla, and the final 10th chapter of the Tudala Tantra. The 14th, which will be a Thursday, is Victory Day. This is the closing puja to the festival. I'll be conducting a fire puja to all 10 Mahavidyas, 6:30 p.m. at Shiva Sai Mandir. And please visit their website, shivamandir.org, for details. So a lot of interesting things coming up these next few days. And so for our Friday night pujas, we're doing our Kriya Yoga practice tonight. Next week, Friday the 8th, will be a Navaratri Puja, which I already mentioned. The next week, the day after Victory Day, that's the 15th, we're not going to be holding a Friday Puja. I will have been doing pujas and satsangs for 10 days in a row, and I think I could definitely use a rest. But we'll resume the Friday pujas on the 21st, where we'll do our monthly Devi Puja and Yoga Nidra meditation. And then finally on the 29th will be the first installment of a brand new series on the 12 Kalis. And this comes from an ancient hymn written by the sage Abhinavagupta about 1,000 years ago called the Krama Stotram. And it describes 12 different aspects, has verses of praise to 12 different aspects of Ma Kali. So for each installment, we're going to be doing a puja and short satsang to each of those aspects of the Divine Mother. And weather permitting, we'll be doing as many of these as outdoor fire pujas as possible. Our first installment on the 29th will be to Ma Sristi Kali, the Divine Mother's power of creation. And that's one of the things that's going to be very interesting about this series. We tend to look upon Ma Kali as a goddess of destruction, of death, and followed by rebirth. But she has so many of these other aspects, including the powers of creation. I mentioned a bit of that on Tuesday for our Sveta Kali satsang, and that according to local custom and legend, she's actually the mother of creation. So to begin our practices tonight, I'm actually going to begin with a short excerpt from my upcoming book, Kali Meditation, Book 4. And these will be daily practices based on the lineage of Kriya Yoga. And I'm going to read from the Kriya Yoga History channel, the section about Ganesh Baba. This book is just completed its second text edit. I'm in the process of illustrating it now, so hopefully it'll be ready for release with the new year. So Swami Ganeshananda, also known as Ganesh Baba, more formally as Sri Manat Ganesh Giri Maharaj. And though very often not very often discussed, is still a significant figure in the history of Kriya Yoga. He was born in the Indian state of Orissa, but the exact year of his birth is unknown. At the time of his death, in 1987, his age was estimated to be somewhere between 92 and 105. His mother was from Nepal, and his father from East Bengal. The family relocated to Calcutta, now known as Kolkata. He spent much of his early life as a wealthy businessman. His family owned several movie theaters in the city. During these years, he is known to have attended guest lectures at the University of Calcutta, which included a presentation by Carl Jung. His interests in the new physics and the new psychology would later influence his teachings of Kriya Yoga. Ganesh Baba stated that he received 4 Kriya Yoga initiations: a childhood initiation from Lahiri Mashaya at the age of 4. By some accounts, this initiation happened in a dream. An initiation by Sanye Mahashaya, a disciple of Lahiri. Tripura Charan Devasharma, a disciple of Sri Motilal, and who is a disciple of Sri Yukteswar. And we talked last month about Sri Yukteswar as the guru to Paramahamsa Yogananda. And Swami Shivananda Sarasvati, Ganesh Baba's guru after his retirement from worldly life. Sometime after 1945, he left his worldly life and took up sannyas, that is, renunciation vows, becoming a monk in the tradition of the Naga Baba sadhus. More exactly, in the Anandakara branch of the movement founded by Shankaracharya. In this community, he received additional spiritual teachings from several sources, but Kriya Yoga remained his primary spiritual practice. According to Ganesh Baba, his path as a renunciate began one day as he sat in the back of his limousine during a traffic jam, and having been to Kolkata, that city is famous for traffic jams. He came to a sudden realization that it was his time to leave his current life behind. He opened the door to his car, got out, and walked away, never to return. Ganesh Baba eventually came to live in Varanasi, where he became well known to young Westerners visiting India in the 1960s. He shared his spirituality freely with them, often while partaking in hashish and other psychedelics. He's sometimes referred to as the psychedelic Swami. In the late 1970s, he moved to Swayambhunath, that's near Kathmandu, where he received many visitors and gave courses in Kriya Yoga practice, which he spelled C-R-E-A, yoga, for creation or creativity. In fact, Ganesh Baba can be credited for creatively adapting Kriya practice for his Western seekers. Ganesh Baba's teachings incorporated many Western scientific and psychological concepts. He taught that there is a cyclic cosmic process of involution and evolution, and he developed a system of correspondences, which he called the cycle of synthesis. Within the cycle, the 4 levels of Kriya Yoga practice, called the 4 Ps, the 5 koshas, these are the subtle body sheaths, the planets, the 7 chakras, the stages of organic evolution, and Jungian psychological theory. Just a moment. The cycle of synthesis works as a spiritual and yogic unified field theory, and a chapter on this concept is included in this book. I'll be doing a separate class on the cycle of synthesis as it gets closer to the time for me to release my book on Amazon Kindle. In 1979, Ganesh Baba was going blind due to cataracts. His Western followers arranged for him to travel to the US for the necessary surgery. He remained in the US for the next 7 years, teaching Kriya Yoga to small groups of interested students. He returned to India in 1986. Ganesh Baba died at Nainital on the 19th of November 1987 and is buried at the Alka Nath temple in Bareilly. Much of the preliminary and instructional material in this volume is based upon the teachings of Ganesh Baba and his cycle of synthesis. When I learned Kriya Yoga in early 2006, it was simply taught as the practice itself. In teaching Kriya Yoga, I have found it useful to introduce students to the mechanics behind the practice, explaining why it is so effective. As I mentioned earlier in this chapter, there are many variations of Kriya Yoga. One of Ganesh Baba's major contributions is a list of 4 elements common to all Kriya variants, which he called the 4 Ps. The first element, posture, finding a comfortable seated position for meditation where the spine is straight. The second is pranayama, referring to long, slow, deep yogic breathing, while focusing on the movement of energy, prana, up and down the central channel of the spine, sushumna, with inhalation and exhalation. The practice is sometimes referred to as Kriya Kundalini Pranayama or spinal breathing. There are other breath practices that can also be employed in preparation for meditation. We're going to be doing a couple of those this evening. Pinealization is the third element of Kriya practice, which involves gently turning the eyes slightly upward to what is sometimes referred to as the third eye or Agnya chakra. And the final element, pranavmentation, which is the repetition of a simple mantra, usually Om, although other mantras can be employed. And so Om is incorporated in this particular practice we'll be doing tonight. The 4 Ps and some useful pre-meditational exercises will be discussed in 4 separate chapters in this volume. And I'll be, like I did with my third book, I will be doing demonstrations of all of the practices in book 4 around the time that it's being released. So again, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to email me at my channel. A lot of what we know about Ganesh Baba is in this book that was compiled by one of his followers, Eve Neuhaus, and she compiled several of his writings, plus her memories and the memories of others who knew Ganesh Baba when he was alive. And this is just a wonderful discussion and introduction to his philosophies and practices, called The Crazy Wisdom of Ganesh Baba, and I highly recommend this book. So tonight's practices, before we do an actual Kriya practice, is going to be an exploration of the 4 Ps. So the first P, posture, refers to our meditational position, sitting with a straight back, having a nice natural curve to the lumbar vertebra, but there's also some preparatory exercises which he taught. So if you are on your yoga mat or on a comfortable carpet, I invite you to join me for these. We're going to begin by straightening our right leg and bringing the left foot against the right thigh. And let's begin by just taking some deep breaths. And beginning to envision Sushumna Nadi running through the center of the spinal column. Envisioning it as a silvery white tube of light. And then inhale, raising both arms overhead. Exhale, hinging at the hip, keeping the back straight, letting the hands drop where they may. Can be the shin, could be the ankle, the toes, or the foot. Continuing to visualize that channel, breathing deeply. Coming deeply into the pose as is comfortable, feeling a nice stretch along the back of the leg. This is a wonderful exercise if you're prone to sciatica. But holding this, maybe going a little bit deeper for about 6 breaths. And then inhale, coming back up to center. Take a couple of breaths. Still envisioning and hopefully feeling that central channel along the spine as we switch feet. Take a couple of breaths. And inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, hinging at the hip, dropping the hands forward to the foot or wherever they fall naturally. Keeping the back straight, envisioning the channel and breathing. And inhale, coming back up. Take a couple of breaths. And then straightening both legs. Again, continuing to visualize that channel. And inhale, once again, arms overhead. And exhale, hinging at the hip, dropping the hands. Stretching both legs, envisioning the channel. With practice, you'll be able to feel it as well. And inhale, coming up. And coming back to your most comfortable form of simple sitting. Take a couple of breaths, just feeling the effects of the overall practice. So in traditional Hatha Yoga, this is known as Janu Siddhasana or head to knee pose. In the Kriya Yoga lineage, it's known as Maha Mudra or the Great Seal. And this exercise is taught by a great number of Kriya gurus going back to Lahiri Mashaya. So there's a yogic practice really originating from Kashmiri Shaivism, non-dual Shaiva Tantra, where it involves just natural flowing body movement. It's sometimes called Tandava Kriya, or the dance of Shiva. And we're going to do a seated variation of this. If you look back on some of the videos on my channel, you'll see some standing examples of it. I'd like to have at least one broadcast the seated version. But this is a wonderful exercise for just freeing the joints and moving the energy. So we're beginning by deeply breathing, starting to work our way into the Pranayama phase of Ganesh Baba's teachings. And noticing the expansion of the belly with the inhalation, and bringing the belly toward the spine with the exhalation. And just be aware of how the body naturally moves with that. Slightly incorporating the breath into a gentle rocking motion. You need to get the arms and the shoulders involved. Maybe coming into some movements kind of similar to a cat-cow. Moving the spine, gently flowing movements back and forth. Getting the neck involved as well. And then moving the hands and the arms and the shoulders. Moving the hands and the fingers. Creating this dance that is inspired by the breath and its movements. Making sure that the spine moves to the side as well. And some gentle twisting movements as well. Moving the neck in gentle circular movements one way. And then the other. Loosening the jaw. And just letting go and surrendering to just spontaneous movement. And then after a while, it feels right. Letting the movements become more gentle, still fluid, but smaller, slower. And finally, bringing the hands back to the knees, continuing to breathe deeply. Coming back to the rocking motion. And finally, returning to stillness and just the breath. And just take some breaths and feel the effects of the practice. Hopefully feeling more relaxed, maybe more energized as well. And we're just going to start going into By the way, this practice, Ganesh Baba referred to it as limb limbering. He loved alliterations. And by the way, if you do some explorations on YouTube, you'll find some actual voice recordings of Ganesh Baba. But full, deep yogic breath, expanding the belly, lifting the chest with the inhalation, and then bringing the shoulders down, chest in, and then belly toward the spine as you exhale. And then bring your awareness back to that central channel of the spine, Sushumna Nadi. And as you inhale, begin to feel a cool current of energy coming down the channel from the crown of the head to the base of the spine and the perineum. And as you exhale, feeling a warm current of energy coming up the spine from the roots through the crown. So we're just practicing Kriya Kundalini, Pranayama, in preparation for our actual Kriya practice. You can begin by just visualizing the energy moving up and down the spine. And again, with practice, you'll come to feel it. And then take a deep clearing breath, letting go of the meditation, slowly opening your eyes. And just breathe normally for a moment and just feel the effects of the practice. Hopefully finding it very centering, very balancing. And then another pranayama exercise that Ganesh Baba would teach his students, especially if they seemed rather ungrounded or uncentered, is skull shining breath, or Kapalabhati. Now, just a quick little cautionary warning with this. If you have a heart condition, if you have uncontrolled high blood pressure, certain digestive problems like stomach ulcer or hiatal hernia, if you're pregnant, I would recommend not trying this. Also, do this with caution if you have a panic disorder. As always, You might consult with your physician before doing this on a regular basis. And if you don't feel like you can do this practice, just continue with the long, slow, deep yogic breathing. But Kapalabhati is we're tightening the abdominals to blow the air out through the nose and then relaxing the abdominals to inflate the lungs. So contract, quick exhale, relax, gentle inhale. We're going to do 25 rounds of this, beginning now. Then take a deep clearing breath. Let the breath return to normal. And just feel the effects of that pranayama practice. Very centering. Nice way to warm up the body. Stimulates the nervous system, stimulates circulation, strengthens the respiratory system, strengthens your six-pack abs as well. Can actually help in stimulating healthy digestion as well. So for pinealization, focusing on the third eye, we're going to do a practice called Jyoti Mudra, or the mudra of light. You're going to just gently close the flaps of your ears with your thumbs. Still keep enough open so you can hear me. First two fingers, put a slight pressure on the eye. The eyes are focused upwards toward the third eye, and the other two fingers, the ring and the little fingers, are resting against the face. We're going to do a deep inhale, and on the exhale, we're going to hum. And as you hum, this is called Brumri or Bumblebee Breath. Just really vibrate that third eye and focus on the light that is produced in your third eye, visualizing that light. So inhale. 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 One more. Relax the hands, keep the eyes closed, still focus on any visual effects that you see in the third eye area. You might see a dark circle surrounded by light, almost like an eyeball staring back at you. Just take a moment and meditate on that. Feel that energy in the third eye, stimulating the pineal gland and accessing that wonderful natural pharmacy that we have in our neuroglandular system. And just take a moment and feel the overall effects of the practice. And then once again, you can slowly open your eyes. So the final P or process of Kriya Yoga, Ganesh Baba called pranayama. And this is the incorporation of mantra. Quite often it was the mantra Om, which is what we're going to use tonight. In my third book, I have a form of this exercise that we're going to be doing where we use the mantra Jai Ma, inhaling J, exhaling Ma. But sometimes Ganesh Baba would teach his students the mantra Ham. He would also, which is the Bij mantra to the ether element, spiritual element. He would also teach different mantras depending on his student's belief system. So a Christian or a Jewish student would be Amen. Muslim, Amin. Sikh, Satnam. So there's a variety of mantras that can work with this, and this is something you can actually experiment with in your own practice. The way that I'm teaching this is bringing the energy down with the inhalation and bringing the energy up through Sushumna from the root through the crown with the exhalation. And this is just the way that I was taught by my guru, Mira Pandey of Varanasi. There are other schools of Kriya meditation where they reverse that. As you're inhaling, you're raising the energy. And as you're exhaling, the energy is going down. And you can certainly experiment with that. And while doing this Kriya Yoga meditation, you may find the direction just naturally reversing itself. And if it does that, that's fine. Just honor the fact that that has happened and just be aware of the experience. But we're going to do some silent Om meditation. We're going to inhale Om silently and exhale Om silently. And while we're doing this, I'm going to direct you to focus on the different chakra points and just feel what it's like to be aware, to bring your awareness and your breath to those areas. Are there areas that it's very easy to do that? Are there areas where it's not so easy? These might be areas where there's some physical or psychological tensions, which you can slowly breathe away with this practice. Ganesh Baba called this practice plexi plucking. So this is another Kriya Yoga warm-up where we're focusing on the chakra centers. So I invite you to close your eyes. And once again, resume deep yogic breath. Completely filling and emptying the lungs with each inhalation and exhalation. And now adding the mantra, inhaling silently Om, exhaling silently Om. Just being aware of what the experience of breathing with the mantra. Now taking a deep and clearing breath. And deep breathing again, chanting Om with the inhalation and exhalation. But keeping your awareness in the area of the perineum and the base of the spine. Breathing the mantra Om in and through that first chakra. And taking a deep and clearing breath. Moving your breath and the mantra now to the area just behind the pubic bone, breathing into the second chakra. Taking another deep and clearing breath. Moving your awareness, your breath, and the mantra now to the solar plexus, the upper abdomen. Another deep clearing breath. Bringing everything now to the heart center. Another deep and clearing breath. Bringing the mantra, the awareness, and the breath to the throat. Another deep clearing breath, now moving everything to the third eye. Another deep clearing breath, and now focusing on the crown. Now a final deep and clearing breath. And just bringing your awareness to the heart chakra. And just grounding everything into the heart. Letting go of the mantra. Letting the breath return to normal. And slowly opening your eyes. And just feeling the effects of our practice. So this is a practice that you can do. We were focusing for about 9 breaths on each chakra. You can do that in each energy center for much longer if you would like. You can also just do this practice for a particular chakra area where you know there's a lot of tension. So maybe you've been through a lot of stress, there's feeling a lot of tension in the solar plexus or maybe the heart area or the throat. You can do this exercise just simply breathing deeply, focusing on the mantra Om on that individual chakra center. And something you can add to that is as you exhale, feel the tension leaving you, and as you inhale, bringing in balance. And Rafa, so glad you're joining us online. Namaste. Miss seeing you in person, but so glad that you're with us. Namaste. So, Rafa and anybody else listening, if you have your Kriya altar in front of you, we're going to start to do the Ganesh Baba Kriya practice. And we're going to open with our traditional Kriya Yoga Puja for consistency's sake. So I'm going to do this, and Namaste Susan as well. So glad you're here. So I'm going to do the puja on the high altar. You can do it on your smaller altar. Hopefully you have water in your pot, some flowers, some fruits to offer, and some incense. Oh, pardon me, my foot's asleep. Take a moment here to wake that up. Been sitting for almost an hour in Siddhasana. So I invite you to bring the palms of your hands together to your heart center. And we'll open our practice by chanting Om 3 times. Inhale. So let's begin by the Om chant that we've done in other Kriya practices, where we're singing Om and raising the energy up the spine. And then after the Om and we inhale, we're bringing the energy back down. Om. Om. So taking a spoon of water and cleansing your hands. Om. Igniting the third eye and heart chakra. Om. Taking water and cleansing the altar. Om. Lighting your lamp or candle. Om. And with your right hand, waving it before the altar 3 times. Om. And blessing yourself in this little mini arati. Om. Lighting your incense. Om. Circling it 3 times. Om. Placing it in the holder. Om. Offering a little water to cool the atmosphere. Om. Making your food offering. Om. And then offering flowers. Om. 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 And bowing. Om. And then preparing for our seated Kriya meditation. I'm actually going to set a timer for 5 minutes to help with this. At least I will attempt to. Here we go. So sitting comfortably with a straight back posture. Long, slow, deep yogic breath. Moving the energy down the channel from the crown to the root as you inhale, and upwards from the root through the crown as you exhale. Pranayama. Letting the shoulders drop away from the ears. Eyes are closed. Eyes turn slightly upwards toward the third eye, focusing on the light effect that produces. And finally, silently chanting Om with your inhalation and exhalation and the energy movements. deep and clearing breath. Letting go of the meditation. Keeping your eyes closed, letting them relax behind your closed lids. And just resting in stillness and silence. Just integrating the practice. And witnessing any phenomenon from a safe, non-attached distance. Take a deep and clearing breath. Becoming aware of your surroundings again. The sound of my voice and the sounds of your room. Feeling the temperature of the air on your skin. So Slowly moving your fingers and toes, your hands and your feet, your arms and your legs. Bringing the palms of your hands together to your heart center. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Slowly opening your eyes. Namaste. Blessings always. Jai Guru and Jai Mata Di. So thank you so much for joining me this evening. Hope you enjoyed this evening's meditation. Have a wonderful evening ahead, a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to you joining me on Tuesday for the beginning of Navaratri. Good night and blessings. And thank you once again.